So we are through the first week of the corruption trial of Kosta Diamantis. Prosecutors are trying to convince a jury that he was taking kickbacks while overseeing the state's school construction program. NBC Connecticut political reporter Mike Savino has been in the courtroom throughout the first week of this trial. Mike, what have you heard so far?
Well, we've heard from a lot of witnesses, so let's start with two of the contractors who say they felt forced to pay bribes to Diamantis in order to get work on school construction projects. Then we also heard from the officials on some of those projects in places like Tolland, Hartford, saying that Diamantis used his authority over these reimbursements to force them to hire those contractors. Remember, Diamantis is charged with both bribery and extortion while overseeing that program, reimbursing towns for school construction. But his attorney, Norm Pattis, has tried to argue through his questioning that Diamantis is really just a strong-willed leader and that he was trying to move these projects along, keep them under budget, and create some oversight on them, all to benefit taxpayers.
Well, we know that this first week is over. What can we expect next week?
So
this could be pivotal.
Yes, absolutely. Things are going to pick up on Tuesday, and at some point, prosecutors want to question the owner of Acronym Masonry. That's one of the companies that has said and has also pled guilty themselves to paying bribes to Diamantis in this scheme. We're also going to hear from some FBI agents because Diamantis is also accused of lying to them during the course of this investigation. Then, at some point, this will go over to Pattis. His first witness is going to be Diamantis, who expects to take the stand sometime next week. And from there, Pattis, based on that testimony, will decide what other witnesses he wants to hear from. He's got a list that includes former Hartford Mayor Luke Bronin and, of course, current Governor Ned Lamont.
Yeah, we reported last night Ned Lamont got that subpoena. Tell me this, what's the precedent here? What's the likelihood that he'll actually testify?
Yeah, that's a big question, and it may depend on what else we hear in this trial. I want to hear a read from a statement the governor's spokesman put out yesterday in response to that, noting that the governor has retained a lawyer who is reviewing that subpoena, and he will then respond as appropriate through the legal process on the issue of whether or not the testimony is relevant, necessary, and meaningful to the case before the court. And of course, that's a very important decision here, because I've talked with legal experts who say that the governor generally has a lot of ability to quash a subpoena because he's very important to the state. But it's what is relevant. I talked with the dean of Quinnipiac's law school today, and he said Pattis may be able to make an argument that Lamont has some relevant testimony here. For example, if he said that he gave some orders that kind of compelled Diamantis to try to move things along quickly. But if he does take the stand, there may be some negotiation that limits what lawyers can ask Lamont. Here's what that dean had to say.
So, for example, a particular amount of time, a format, scope limitations around, for example, restricting questions to maybe specific projects or timeframes.
Now, Keisha, Diamantis isn't expected to take the stand till Thursday. Pattis noted that could take a couple of days in and of itself, so we may not even have an answer on whether or not the governor is going to take the stand until the following week.
Well, this is not Pattis's first go-around. Highly skilled, very popular here in our state, very popular defense attorney. So we will continue watching this. This is playing out in a federal court. You're going to be back in the courtroom in Bridgeport, staying on top of this for us. Mike Savino, we appreciate you. Thank you.